Hello, girls and boys. Welcome to a brand new week and happy Monday. Well, today I am so excited to read you this new book. It's called Big L. Now, Big L, pretty short title. It's actually the name of the fish that we'll be reading about. I want to tell you just a little bit about Big L. Big L is a fish that has no friends. But boys and girls, before you think that he has no friends because he is a meanie, that is actually not the case. He has no friends not because he's mean. In fact, he is the nicest fish in the ocean. He doesn't have any friends only and only because he looks different. And because he looks different, the other fish find him a little scary. But we are going to go on a journey with him to see how he is going to make friends. Ready? Let's jump into it. Alright. In the wide blue sea, there was a very friendly fish named Big L. You could not find a nicer fish. There's no one nicer than Big L. But just as Big L is friendly, Big L was also very, very scary. Yeah, he looks different, and that looks scary to the other fish. Other fish seemed to have at least one friend. Some had many, but Big L had none. He did not really blame the other fish. How could he expect little fish to trust a great big fish with eyes and skin and teeth like his? So Big L was lonely and cried big salty tears into the big salty sea. Again, he has no friends, but it's not because he did anything wrong. He just looks different, that is all. But Big L really wanted friends, so he worked at it. He's not gonna just give up like that. First, he tried wrapping himself up with seaweed. He thought it was a great disguise, but no one else did. Who wants to stop and talk to a floating plant that has big sharp teeth? Now, I gotta say, Dr. Chan actually loves seaweed. I know that some of my friends don't. They think it's too fishy and it tastes weird. I love eating seaweed, but I would also have to agree, if I see a big fish covered in seaweed with large teeth, I might get a little scared too. But that didn't stop Big L though. He's gonna try something else. Then he thought that if he puffed himself up round, the other fish would laugh and see how clever and silly he could be. All they saw was how big he could be, and they steered clear. So it is true, he is actually pretty clever and pretty silly and funny, but he looked scary when he does it, and that is also why it did not work. But he is still not giving up yet. Very early one morning, Big L went down to the bottom and flopped and wiggled himself into the sand until he was almost covered up. He looked much smaller. When other fish came near, Big L talked and joked with them and had a delightful time. See, he is really fun to be with. But then one scratchy little grain of sand got stuck in his gills, and he sneezed, achoo! When the clouds of sand cleared away, all the other fish were gone. Has that ever happened to you, Wildcats? When something, kind of itchy got into your nose and you just can't help it but sneeze. That's exactly what happened to Big L. And because he sneezed so badly, his cover was blown and the other fish are again afraid and they swam away. But he is still not going to give up. He is going to try something else. Big L even changed his color one day so he could look like he belonged to a school of tiny fish passing by. He bubbled along with them for a while, laughing and feeling like he was just one of the crowd. But he was so big and clumsy that when all the tiny fish darted to the left and then quickly back to the right, Big L just plowed straight ahead. He went bumping and thumping right into the little fish. Before he could even say, "Excuse me," they were gone, and he was all alone again, sadder than ever. Sadder than ever because now he has tried at least 3-4 times to make friends, and he's still not successful. Just when Big L was starting to be sure that he would never have a single friend, something happened. He was floating along sadly watching some of the smaller fish and was wishing they could come closer. As he watched, a net dropped down silently from above, and in an instant they were caught. Just like that. Look, Big L was not caught, but all the other little fishes were. Now, let's see what happens next. Now remember, Wildcats, at this point, Big L has been really sad. But now he sees a problem that all of the other fishes have a need. They're being caught. Big L forgot all about being lonely, and he forgot all about being sad. His eyes bulged out bigger and rounder than ever, and with a mighty flip of his tail, he opened his mouth and charged straight at the net. The net was strong, but Big L was stronger. He ripped right through it, and all the little fish rushed out through the hole. Now, Wildcats, let's remember this because we're going to come back to this. This scene is so important, okay? We're going to come back to this later. But then Big L tried to turn around and go out of the hole. He got all tangled up in the net. He was stuck. So now all the other fishes were free, but Big L is stuck and he is about to get caught. The net went higher and higher toward the bright surface of the sea, and the little fish watched Big L as he disappeared above them. When the little fish were able to speak again, all they talked about was the huge, wonderful fish that had saved them. How great to be free, but what a shame that the big fellow had been captured. The big fish that they thought was so scary all this time was the one who saved them. Just then there was a tremendous crashing splash above them, and the small fish dashed away. Was it the net again? Not at all. It was Big L. Those fishermen took one look at him and they threw him right back into the ocean. Maybe he looked scary to the fishermen too, or maybe they're just way too big and they didn't need a big fish. We don't know, but Big L is fine. So then, and now there is one huge, puffy, scary, fierce-looking fish in the sea who has more friends than anyone else. Big L. Alright, so girls and boys, what can we learn from Big L's story? Well, first of all, remember, Big L has no friends, not because he is mean. In fact, he is the nicest fish in the ocean. So don't you think it was a little silly that none of the other fish wants to be friends with him just because he looks different? Well, I think so. And sometimes we do that too, don't we? If we see someone who looks different than us, we might not want to be friends with them, not because they're mean, but only because they're different. So I think we can learn from Big L's story and remember that even when someone looks different than us, we should still try to be friends with them, unless they're mean. If they're mean, that's a different story. But if they just look different than us, I don't think that's a good reason to not be friends with someone. Now, what about this page that I got your attention in? Remember this page? Here. This scene. Remember this scene, boys and girls? I thought it was so important. Big L forgot all about being lonely and he forgot all about being sad. Remember, at this moment, he has tried to have friends, to make friends, like at least 4 different times, and he had been not having good success, and that makes Big L really, really sad. He was crying, he was all by himself, but as soon as he saw that, oh no, the other fishes have a need and I can help, he forgot all about what he was feeling and he was all about what he could do to help others, to benefit others. And I think this is such an important story because, boys and girls, there might be a lot of things going on in our lives and sometimes we might feel sad. And we don't have to stop feeling sad because sometimes we can be sad. There are things that makes us sad. But even as we are feeling sad and maybe even lonely, we can still focus on what can I do for the people around me to make their life better, right? Do both at the same time, right? So I want you to remember Big L's story, not just about making friends, but also remembering that we can always focus on the people around us and what we can do to make people's lives better, even when we're sad. So I hope you liked today's story and come back tomorrow and I'll read you a different book. Bye!